Support for Sports Page is provided by the University Store. The University Store is the official headquarters for Mules and Jenny's emblem clothing, gifts, and UCM memorabilia. Books, office supplies, art supplies, and more are available at the University Store, located on the lower level of the Elliott Union on the UCM campus in Warrensburg. And promotional support for Sports Page is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.
Coming up on Sports Page, I'll sit down with assistant baseball coach Scott Reller and talk about them winning 3 of 4 against Missouri Western. Devin Negretti will catch up with co-head track and field coach Kirk Pederson and talk about the Mule Relays. In our Sports Page Spotlights, we'll take a look at Jenny's track and field javelin thrower, Mary Riley. We'll also take a look at Mules track and field high jump and runner, Devin Claypool. All of that and more on next week's edition of the UCM Sports Page. Welcome back to Sports Page. I'm Alex Greenlee. The Mules are number 1 in the MIAA standings. They've only got 4 games left in the regular season and are looking to finish strong. Katie Bailey has the highlights from the doubleheader on April 18th against Missouri Western. Let's take a look.
The 21st ranked Central Missouri Mules opened their 4-game MIAA series with Missouri Western by splitting a doubleheader on Friday afternoon at Crane Stadium, Tompkins Field. The Griffins won the opener 8-2 before UCM railed for a 14-6 win in the nightcap. Some really great hits from the game today. It was a beautiful day at Tompkins Field. Dylan Hansen, a sophomore at UCM, makes it to first, starting the game off right. Hansen's hitting at 2 at-bat, 2 runs. And there's a slide from Kevin Gratza. You can tell the Mules really want to win this for the doubleheader. A series of balls and walks from the Griffins pitcher put the Mules in position for some runs and a lead of the second game. An additional walk by Hansen put him in first with no outs, Mules in the lead on top of the 4th. Griffins catcher misses the ball, which allows Sandifer to steal to home. Central Missouri junior 3rd baseman Tony Sandifer has been named the MIAA AstroTurf Hitter of the Week, as announced by the league office on Tuesday afternoon. Griffins pitcher kept an eye out for first base throughout the game, but slipped and allowed 13, Seth Wheeler, to steal second, along with 2 runners made by the Mules. The Mules led at the bottom of the 5th with 6 runs made. Jones steals second, advanced to third on a throwing error by Griffins catcher. Catch by Griffins outfield, but Jones does not stop running and makes it to home with a slide. Brad Wilson up to bat. Wilson is hitting a 4 at bat with 2 runs. Sandifer finished the game 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 4 runs scored. A lot of the hits made by the Mules have been right down the middle. Beautiful hits by the team. And here comes Wilson, another run for the Mules. The Mules ended the bottom of the 5th with 6 runs, making their total 10 points in 5 innings. The pitcher and the catcher for Missouri Western are not really connecting with the ball, allowing Sandifer to take another run for the Mules. You can tell the Mules crowd is very excited and proud of their team. Seth Wheeler, a senior at UCM, is hitting 3 at-bats with 1 run in the game against Missouri Western.
Thanks for that, Katie. As you take a look there, the first game on Friday, they lost 2-8. The second game, they came back hitting the ball hard, 14-6 in that second game. Take a look at Saturday here. UCM, 15 runs in both games. The first game, 15-2. The second game, 15-7. Joining us now to talk Mules baseball is assistant coach Scott Reller. Scott, I'm really glad to have you on here.
Nice to be here, Alex.
Fantastic. I want to talk and congratulate you guys on winning a share of the MIAA championship, regular season championship. You know, the 24th in school history. What does it mean to you, and what does it mean to this program?
Well, I think it's just continuing the Mules tradition, and that's what we're expected to do here, and hopefully we can continue to build off that and keep the tradition going.
In that first game, you guys were down 4-0 before you guys hit the plate. You guys scored 2 runs in the game in the bottom of the first. What happened in that first game?
We didn't get a great start from Ricky Rivera. He wasn't himself. And then ultimately the 4 runs in the top of the first really makes it difficult to come back. They get momentum going and it gets tough. And ultimately we just didn't do a very good job at the plate, and we didn't do a very good job on the mound, and they beat us.
And they beat you guys. That was your only loss, obviously, in those games, 8-2, in that first game. The next game, you guys came back, and you guys scored 10 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning to the Griffins, 2 runs after, the start of that game. Scoring that many runs that quick, how is that for you guys to do that on such a high level? You've been doing this all season. You get the run total up, and then nobody can catch up to you.
Well, that's the goal. We want to be up early and continue to build off it, and our hitters did a great job of being patient. We didn't chase any pitches. We looked for the pitch that we were looking for, and then we capitalized upon it.
And certainly. And we talked about Trevor Jones. Tommy Myers and I talked about Trevor Jones last week, and he's been playing out of his mind, in that second game there, 1 hit, 2 runs in. I mean, he's playing really well, and he's stealing bases too. He's playing at a high level, and he always has. How is it to have a guy like that on your team, hitting in that one spot?
Well, he's a great player for us. He's one of our best. He does a great job of setting the table at the top. He looks for his pitch. He's a great defender and does what we ask him to do. And when you have speed like that on the bases, it makes it difficult for the defense to do their job.
Well, yeah, and then they have done their job, and he's done his job well, and so has everybody else. Your pitching's been solid this season. We'll get to that here in a little bit. You guys ended up holding on to that lead, winning 14-6 in that second game, coming back from that 8-2 loss. How does that feel for you to come back after losing that first game, but then come out in that second game and the bats are just going?
Well, I don't think we have any other option. We played the game that we want to play. In the first game, we got out of our element and didn't do what we were supposed to do. In the second game, we stayed patient, stayed selective, and capitalized when we got runners on base, and then we pitched it pretty well, and that's ultimately the name of the game. Play good defense, pitch well, and have timely hitting, and that's what we did in that second game.
That you guys did. And Saturday, April 19th, you guys came out hot and had 5 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. Again, your offense was on point. Tell me about how your offense has done. Obviously, February you guys had a bit of a slump, but you guys have came back hard, obviously got a share of that championship. How's your offense been doing, since February?
Well, early, it was a group of young hitters, and we had to find our identity. And so we took our lumps early, and it's been a process of every day working at it and continuing for them to understand that we're going to be selective. We're not going to sit there and try to chase pitches and do what the pitcher wants us to do. And then when we do get guys on base, we're going to understand that we're going to pressure the baseball, we're going to hit balls hard and flat, and that's when runs score. When we have people on base and we flatten balls out.
And Trevor Jones, last week when I was over there in Maryville with him, and he told me, coach is telling him hit the ball flat, just get on base, hit the ball flat. And, he was 4 for 6 for that game. That was fantastic for him. Let's talk about Schuler now. He pitched a complete game against the Griffins and allowed only 5 hits throughout that game. Now that's fantastic. His control of the mound is impeccable. Tell me why, Coach.
Well, Curtis is just a tremendous person, and he works his tail off. He understands what he needs to do to be successful. And if you go back and look at it, his biggest success has been against Missouri Western. I think he's thrown 3 complete games, 3 straight years on him in a row. And so he understands what he needs to do. He has a great attitude, and he's great for everybody to see as far as how his work ethic is, and then understanding the game and not getting out of control when things do happen in the game that may be adversity. So he's great. He's great for us, and great to be in that 3 slot for us. He's a veteran that understands the game and pitches well.
And that he does, and he's been doing it all season and for most of his career, in fact. The Mules erupted in the bottom of the 6th, scoring 7 runs. You won the game 15-2, and then right in the next game, you scored 9 runs in the bottom of the first and that second game. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Tell me what's going through your mind when those bats are going and you guys are getting across home so fast.
Well, that's what we have the ability to do, and it was built upon the previous 2 games and understanding that we're going to be selective, we're going to look for our pitch, and we're going to flatten balls out. And it's great for us to get up that early because it allows us to continue to build, continue to play the game hard, and put a team away, and that's what we set out to do every time.
You guys set out to do that, and you guys do generally do that. I mean, your record's really good so far this season. Both teams had many hits. You guys had 22 hits, while the Griffins had 15 hits. Now, for a game, that's definitely a lot of hits. A high-hitting game like that, you still get the 15-7 win in your last game at home for the season. Obviously the MIAA tournament coming up. You guys are going to have it home. But what does that mean to get that win, 15-7, in that last game at home for you and for the seniors?
Well, we need to do a better job on the mound once we get the 9-0 lead in the first. We didn't do a good enough job throwing strikes after that, and we let them back in the game. But ultimately, our bullpen was good enough to hold on to it and keep the lead. But they made it interesting, but it was partially because we allowed it to ourselves. We put people on base for free, and then they capitalized upon it with a couple hits, and it made it interesting for a little while. But our offense was doing well, and they kept us with the win.
Yeah, and I talked to Coach Tom Myers last week. And we talked about the seniors, obviously, a big day for the seniors, Friday and Saturday, obviously, for the season games. They get to come back for that tournament. How was it for them to win, in your mind, those 3 of those last 4 games at home? What do you think's going through their mind? How happy are they?
Well, right now we're trying to qualify for a regional, so every win matters, and to win 3 out of 4 is great. We set out to win 4 every time. And so we need to continue to build upon that, and as the season goes on, we need to play better each week, and so that's something to build upon from this week and hopefully be better next week.
And you guys have done that. You guys really do respond well to adversity, and I think that's one thing I really admire about this team. You guys are 32-13 on the season, 29-7 in the MIAA. It's been amazing to see you guys grow so much this season. What's the biggest thing that you guys have seen happen over the course of this season that's really grown in the guys down there?
I think you've seen the maturity of our young players. We have a pretty young middle infield. We've got a pretty inexperienced pitching staff coming in, and you've seen them mature, and you see guys grow up and put in situations that they've never been in before. And there's some failure at first, and they're starting to see success, and hopefully we can continue to build off of that.
Continuing to build, and that's something you guys have done all season. I'll say it again, and I'll say it time again. It's really fantastic. For you, Coach, who's the most underrated player on this team? We talk about, Jones, Sandifer obviously hitting the ball a lot of other guys really playing at a high level, but who's the most underrated player on this team right now?
To be honest, I think the middle of our lineup's done a great job. I think Brad Wilson has done a great job for us, and Kevin Grazza has been tremendous. He struggled early, and that's an All-American that struggled and was put on the bench for a while, but he continued to work at it and has been great for us due to injury and is sitting in the middle of our lineup now, doing a tremendous job playing right field. He never second-guessed his abilities for 1 second, continued to work hard and trusted what he was doing, and he's back in the lineup and doing a great job for us.
What things are you trying to instill in these guys to improve on? Obviously, the team's improved over the season, but what's some things you're talking about going into Central Oklahoma that, we'll get to that in a second, but you guys are trying to improve on going there?
Well, we got to do a better job of being locked in for an entire 9 innings every game. We've had some mental lapses at times, and it's cost us, and that's what we got to be better at. We got to be better defensively. You know, being stingy on defense and in close games is great, and when you get in close games, you know, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win. And so we got to be better at staying locked in for an entire game, and we're getting better. We got to put a full game together for 4 straight days, and so that's what we're setting out to do.
Coach, you've got Central Oklahoma and Edmond, Oklahoma for the last home four games this season. How are you guys preparing for those games? You obviously talked about what you need to improve on. You've made that very clear. What are you guys going to do to go down there and hopefully, you know, sweep the series?
We focus on ourselves. They're a good team. They're going to be a good offensive team, a team that can pitch it real well. We focus on what we do best, and you know, so our offense's game plan doesn't change based on who we're playing. It stays the exact same. And pitching-wise, we're going to attack the strike zone. We're going to have a fastball that we command both sides of the plate and a second pitch that we can throw in any count. And if we do that, we should be in good shape. But they're a good team, and we're going to have to play our best in order to beat them.
Certainly. Good luck in the MIAA tournament in Central Oklahoma. I really appreciate you coming in, Coach.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Up next, the spotlight on Jenny's javelin thrower, Mary Riley. Don't go away. Welcome back to the UCM Sports Page. She's a senior from Olathe, Kansas. Let's take a look at the spotlight on Mary Riley.
When I was a sophomore in high school, I decided to quit softball, and my dad really was the one that told me that I should go out for track, and I was absolutely terrible. I threw 60 feet my first meet, and at that point I like questioned everything, like why did I quit softball to do this sport? But then it just like clicked, and then I'd been doing it ever since I was 16, so it just kind of worked out okay. Well, my coach in high school, Coach Catloth, he was just awesome. I was really, really privileged to have a good high school coach. A lot of kids don't. And I'm from Kansas, so we get to throw it in high school. So a lot of the Missouri kids are like really intrigued by this event because you just can't do it in high school. But my high school coach was really great. And then when I got here to UCM, we had a grad assistant, Tim Wunderlich, and he was just awesome, and he really helped me out that year, and I progressed a lot. So for a lot of my progress, I thank him for that, because I made some really good strides that year. Why did I choose red? There were a lot of reasons. Because I didn't originally. I'm a transfer student. I actually went to the University of Kansas for a year, and then I tried to walk on there, and they actually told me I wasn't good enough. So then I went to Johnson County for a year, and then I just started shopping for schools, and UCM just seemed like a really good fit, really close to home. And then Kip's really great, and he gave me a tour and made me an offer I couldn't refuse, so I've been happy with the decision ever since. Well, Kip and I feel really open with him. I can pretty much tell him all of my, all the things I'm happy about with how training's going. I can tell him when I'm not happy. We make a lot of compromises with training and things like that, but for the most part, I pretty much have that kind of trust in him that I feel like I know that he has my best interest at heart, so I usually take what he says, and I try, even if I don't like the advice he gives me, I usually sit and I think about it, and then I eventually agree, even if at first I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But we have a very open relationship, and I feel really comfortable, and I've been very happy with the coaching staff here. My goals for the season, I really just want to keep progressing. I know that I'm going to be at the national meet, so I really just want to get back on the podium and get as high as I can. Obviously, it's always a goal to win, but I'm going to start small. I'm going to start with conference. Hopefully I can win conference and then keep the momentum going, get to the national meet and do some good things. So, well, training is going really great, so that I feel like is going well. I definitely, and I'm good at taking direction and trying to work on all the little technical things throwing, but it's putting it all together at the right time that I really need to work on and make sure I get line it up just right when it matters. So secondary education with an emphasis in English, and right now I'm actually student teaching at Warrensburg High School, so hopefully next year I will be back home or close to home in Kansas City and teaching high school kids or middle school kids English. So I guess just thank you for all of the support, because 3.5 years ago I thought that I was done after I was at KU. I thought that I wasn't going to be competing anymore, but my parents really pushed me and made me believe that I could do it, and so that really helped me out to get here today, to be going to the national meet for a third time. And that 3.5 years ago, I didn't think that was even a possibility, so I'm really, really excited to finish out my career and have it hopefully go out with a bang. So I also have my coaches to thank, so I guess, yeah, my high school coach, my old GA Tim, and then I have Kip here to thank, and it's just been great. So I think that I'm going to go out on a positive note, so I'm really anxious.
See how easy that is?
In a field consisting of mostly Division I athletes, Riley finished second in the javelin throw at the Kansas Relays. She threw a provisional mark of 151 feet and 8 inches. Great job, Mary. Coming up next, Devin Negretti will sit down with track and field co-head coach Kirk Pederson. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Sports Page. I'm Devin Negretti. Before we talk to UCM's track and field co-head coach, Kirk Pederson, let's take a look at a few of the results for this past week. Jenny's Golf traveled to Lawrence, Kansas, where they took 5th out of 9 teams at the MIAA Championship on April 21st through the 23rd. The team shot a final round of 349, their lowest score in the tournament. Kelly Welker was the top placer for the Jennies, finishing in 10th and shooting 36 over par, 252. Mules Golf finished first at the MIAA Championship in Lawrence, Kansas, April 21st through the 23rd. The 5th-ranked Mules were led by Cy Moritz, who claimed the individual championship with a total score of 4 under par, 212. Robbie Huey finished 4th with a total of 2 over par, 218. Alex Springer tied for 9th with a total of 6 over par, 222. And Travis Mays tied for 2nd at 1 over par, 217, and was named MIAA Golfer of the Year after gathering 43.5 points over the course of the MIAA season. This is the 4th MIAA title for the Mules in the last 5 years and the 5th MIAA title in the last 6 years for the Mules golf program. Track and field had 2 athletes compete at the Kansas Relays in Lawrence, Kansas on April 17th and 19th. Megan Glaman earned the provisional mark and took 3rd in the 10,000 meter run at 36 minutes and 32.87 seconds. Mary Riley also earned a provisional mark and took 2nd in the javelin at 151 feet and 8 inches. The track and field teams then competed in the Mule Relays on April 18th at Walton Stadium Kennedy Field and had a couple record setters, provisional marks, and place winners. The Jennies' Heaven Warner was named MIAA Athlete of the Week, broke the school and her personal record, earned automatic qualifier, and has the top throw in the nation for hammer throw. It was the 3rd best throw in the Division II history. She also earned provisional marks in discus along with teammate Brooke Swearingen. Nikki Douglas earned her mark in the 400-meter hurdles along with placing 1st in the 100-meter hurdles. The Mules' Chris Swearingen set a new school record and earned a provisional mark in javelin. He beat the previous record that he set last year by 1.5 feet. Among the other provisional marks for the Mules was George Harlambus for high jump and Cole Phillips for pole vault. Now joining me is UCM's track and field co-head coach, Kirk Pederson. Welcome to Sports Page, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Devin.
It's the first time you've been on the show this season, or this year. What can you tell us about the season so far?
It's a long season. I was here in the fall with the cross country, and we finished that up, and then we've been through indoor track, which started our season in mid-January, and now we're in mid-April, and we're still rolling along with our outdoor season, and it's been a fun year, and we're pleased with where things are at and where we're going.
It's great. With that, can you kind of walk us through the Mule Relays that we had previously?
Mule Relays, it's a lot of work for us. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's really right now the only home outdoor track meet we have. We have several indoor meets throughout the season, and we have a cross-country meet at home. But this is our only chance this year and in recent years for our team to be on our home track and run in front of maybe some friends at school and professors and teammates and all that. So it's a great environment for our kids to be at home and be in the comfortable surroundings of Vernon Kennedy Field.
Heaven Warner, what an outstanding athlete. Can you go more in depth on how she's performed this season?
She's an outstanding athlete. She redshirted last year and was a freshman 2 years ago with us, and kind of struggled at the start of her career, but blossomed, I think, at the end of her freshman year, and took last year and to get stronger and build on some things, and she's really an incredible athlete right now, and the hammer throw is such a neat thing to watch them spin around and throw a 8-pound ball that far.
That's very impressive. Here we have some of the highlights from the Mule Relays. There's Erin throwing the javelin.
Erin, is a great athlete here as well, and a national champion in the heptathlon, pentathlon indoor. Here she's working on the javelin as part of the heptathlon event. We have some good javelin throwers right now. Mary Riley, obviously, a national qualifier for us. Chris Swearingen is another javelin thrower that's very good as well. So that area is going very well for us.
I know Chris Swearingen's javelin throw, I mean, he beat his record that he set last year. I mean, that's quite impressive.
He's come a long ways as well, and our throws, both men and women, I think is a very strong point of our whole program right now. We like to be a balanced program and be able to do well in all the events, but definitely the throws right now are clicking for us, and really pleased with that.
Most definitely. And going back to Erin, I mean, earlier this year during the indoor season, she captured the NCAA division title for the second year in a row, and as you mentioned, took the heptathlon title at Emporia State Multis. What else would you like to see from her?
Well, she's about done. Unfortunately, she'll finish up her season this year, and I think she would love to go out with another national title. We've got things before that. Obviously, we've got the MIAA championships coming up next week, and that'll be a heptathlon for our team that hopefully we'll do well in. But hopefully we can do well there with Erin, and then move on forward to the national championships, which will be in Michigan in late May.
George Harlambus, he's had multiple provisional marks in high jump and long jump this year. What have you done to help him master that skill?
Well, he's a talented athlete, and he's really, I think, worked hard this year to be a key member of our team. And so, yeah, he's close to national qualifying, and hopefully we'll have that come here in the next couple of weeks.
And overall, what changes have you seen transitioning from the indoor season to the outdoor season? I know it's a little bit more complicated with the outdoor season, given weather. I mean, you mentioned a little bit ago how there have been rain delays. What has that transition been like for the athletes?
Well, it is a transition when we're indoor. You know, we're on a shorter, smaller track. We don't have the long throws inside. We have just a shot put. And we don't have as many relays. It's really fun to get outside when the weather's nice and compete and have some tailwinds for our jumpers and sprinters and things like that. When the weather's bad, it's we wish we were back in the friendly confines in the multi-purpose building. But it's been a good transition for us this year. Weather has been pretty acceptable for us on most meet days, and we've had some bad practice days, but that's given here in the Midwest. So we've transitioned well, and again, our throwers are key to that is their success at some events that we don't have indoors that we have done very well outside in.
So would you say it's kind of easy for them to work out those kinks, you know, spending all of indoor season, not being able to do the specific events that they typically do outdoor? I mean, is it a little bit easier for them?
Well, you know, in Mary Riley's case and Chris Waringen as javelin throwers, they don't get to compete indoors. They come help out at meets and they do train during the week and go out in 30-degree snowy weather and throw javelin. So they really get excited about the outdoor season starting in March and early April, and you really see their excitement to finally get a chance to compete when the rest of the team have been competing all winter.
Yeah, it's gotta be great to finally like watching and all of a sudden, yes, it's my turn. Coming up, y'all have the Drake Relays on April 24th through the 26th. What would you like to see from your athletes during these meets?
Drake Relays is a special event. It's hard to get in a lot of the events. Very selective meet. We do get the chance to run most of the relays that we want to. So it's really kind of a bonus for our kids, a reward for a good season or a good mark throughout the season that they get to go up and compete against some of the best athletes in the country. And so we always look forward to that, and it'll be a big crowd and just a great track environment that we don't always see. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Mentioning the weather again, I know you said how in Des Moines right now it's slightly chilly. I mean, does that affect them at all? Going from the warmer climate, because you know their muscles are a little more relaxed, and going to cooler it kind of freezes up. Does that change or help them in any way?
Drake is known for its bad weather. Iowa's not a bad place, I'm sure, but that weekend in Des Moines, Iowa always seems to have some less than ideal conditions. So our athletes have been through that before, and no, it's not ideal to run fast when it's cold or wet, but when you're in that environment, I think you just do what you need to do to compete, and it's just a neat environment.
Well, there's also the Simpson Twilight and Baker Open during this meet. What would you like to see from those athletes who are competing in those meets?
Those meets are really tune-ups. We have our MIAA championships next week in Jefferson City at Lincoln University. And so right now it's trying to fix some things or tune up, you might say, with a lot of athletes, a lot of events, both at Baker, both at Simpson, trying to get them feeling good and ready for a great MIAA championship next week.
Well, I'm talking about the MIAA championship. The Mules finished 4th overall in the MIAA indoor and 31st in the NCAA indoor. The Jennies finished 3rd in the MIAA and 7th in the NCAA. What would you like to see happen for the outdoor events? I know it's a little bit different because you have a few different events compared to the indoor, but what would you like to see kind of in comparison?
Well, you know, our team goal is always to win MIAA championships. We've got some outstanding teams in track and field in this conference, as we do in most sports and every sport. But we've had some success, not as much success last year and this winter as we've had in the past, and so trying to get to that level is always the goal. Placing higher at both the MIAA championships, national championships than we did indoor will be a goal as well. And with, I think, some of the strength of our throws, that's going to help us a little bit be more competitive and have a chance to do some good things there.
What are you most looking forward to for these championships?
Well, you know, it's always, as a coach, we train our athletes to peak and compete well at the end of the year, and the MIAA championships is always the meet of the year for us, for our entire team. Obviously, we have all those that go on and qualify for nationals, and that's a neat thing, but this will be the last meet for our entire team. And so as a coach, you want to see them perform at their highest level at the MIAA championships, and feel like we've done a good job as coaches, but feel like they're kind of at the end of their season, and maybe some of them at the end of the career, going out with a big bang and doing some great things.
Are there specific athletes that you can think of, you can see qualifying to go individually for the national championships?
Definitely, we've got a strong group right now. Heaven Warner, obviously one of them, Brooke Swearingen, Mary Riley, and also in the throws, Aaron Aliewine, Madison Smith is another heptathlete for us that has done very well. So all those women on our team hopefully are strong leaders for us next week first, and then moving on to nationals after that.
And the 4x400 relays, kind of going back a little to the Mule Relays, I know the ladies did well. Can you kind of go a little bit more in depth there?
We've often had some very good 4x400 meter relays, and that's one we take a lot of pride in. I don't think we've put everybody on that on the same day that we need to be highly successful, and hopefully we'll get that done here in the coming weeks.
All right, Coach, thanks again for joining us on Sports Page.
Thanks for having me, Devin.
Up next on our Sports Page Spotlights is Devin Claypool. We'll take a look at how he's dominating his final season. Stay tuned. Devin Claypool is a Gladstone, Missouri native with a set skill as a high jumper for the track and field team. Let's see how he's been doing this season. Take a look.
This year, I mean, one thing I can say is I've been a lot healthier this year. I haven't had any back problems or anything. Last year had a great year last year. This year's comparable. I didn't compete as well at indoor nationals this year, but still got outdoor to look forward to. So got to qualify for that. I got Drake this weekend, so I'm hoping to qualify and go outdoor nationals and make this a big year like it was last year. My relationship with my coaches is very professional. I mean, we joke around a little bit, especially when we're on trips and stuff, but for the most part, I just, talk to him as a coworker, as someone that I work under, pretty much. I don't know. That's how I would describe it. I think I have a pretty good relationship with most of the runners. We get along pretty well. This year I started being more of a team leader and leading them, and we got a lot of young guys that I just met, and I'm slowly getting to know them, and I think we all have a pretty good relationship. We're all pretty close. We compete hard, we cheer for each other, everything a team should do. I consider myself a team leader because I'm one of the only seniors left on the team. I think there's 4, maybe 5 of us. That and the fact that, I just feel like, according to what Kip says, I've stepped up a little bit this year, and I'm leading more stuff, like the warm-ups. I lead the warm-ups almost every day, and I lead a lot of the workouts that we do, the interval workouts, and I try to rally the team at track meets and get everyone excited, and just stuff like that, stuff you got to do when you're the older guy on the team. I very first started in middle school, like most people, in 8th grade, I think. I started doing it. I put my foot in water in a little bit of every event, but I found that high jump was one of my strong suits. Obviously, I used to do long and triple and 4x4, and all through high school, I was high jump, long jump, triple jump, 4x4, a little bit of 4x1, a little bit of 4x2 once in a while, but eventually, especially when I got to college, my body couldn't handle doing all those events, so I dropped down to just the 4x4 and the high jump, and those are my most excelling events. So, off the top of my head, I would say my parents are a pretty big motivator for me. I live with my grandparents, and they come to every meet. I don't know if my grandpa's missed a single track meet. He's always there, and he's very supportive, and he's really excited to see how far I've come and how much I've achieved, given where I've come from. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have rituals that I went through when I compete. I have little things that I have to do. I don't know why, but yeah, maybe a little bit of superstition there, but for the most part, I believe that if I worked hard and I put in the work and practice was good and stuff, then I'm pretty confident that I'm going to jump well that day. And that's pretty much what it usually comes down to. Earlier in the season, after going to indoor nationals, my goal obviously was to make it back to the national meet, and then I had already gotten my All-American indoor last year, so I wanted to get, I want more All-Americans now, and knowing that I could do it. So I made it to indoor nationals and met that goal. Didn't get my All-American, unfortunately, indoor. Conference is is another goal I have. I want to be conference champion. I have one more chance to do that. I got third indoor. Still got outdoor conference coming up, so I'd like to get the conference championship and then go to outdoor nationals hopefully and get an All-American, finish out the year. I looked at a lot of schools whenever I was deciding on a college. I ended up choosing Red after looking at, a lot of recruiting schools around here like Emporia, Baker, Northwest, After looking into the school a little bit and Kip's program, Kip Jammer is very good, coach all around, and after looking him up and the things that his athletes have accomplished and his record I decided this would be a good school for me to really excel in my track career, and it's really paid off.
And good luck with everything, Devin. Up next, Alex will give you the rundown on the upcoming events. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. Here's a look at the upcoming schedules. Softball has 2 doubleheaders coming up at home. Their first game on April 25th against Missouri Southern. The first game starts at 4 p.m. and the second game starts at 6 p.m. The next day, April 26th, they host Pittsburgh State in a doubleheader. The first game starts at 1. The next game starts at 3. This is senior day for the Jennies and is also the pink out game. The Jennies are currently 25-19, 12-10 in the MIAA. Good luck, Jennies. And with that, we conclude this edition of the UCM Sports Page. Make sure to tune in next week. Until then, for our entire crew, I'm Alex Greenlee.
And Devin Negretti saying thanks for watching the UCM Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS.
Support for Sports Page is provided by Union Station, Crossroads to Technology, a one-stop shopping source for technology needs, campus-compatible computers, software for Mac and PCs, and much more. Located on campus on the lower floor of the Elliott Union in Warrensburg, Union Station, Crossroads to Technology. And promotional support for Sports Page is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.